Hey there, it's John. I thought I'd have a little July check-in with you. It's been a little while. I hope you're really well. It's really fantastic to be here with you. And I just had some lovely music on. I was going to leave it on and just have it running in the background, and then I remembered YouTube's algorithm would give us a tough time about that, and the video would disappear. So hence. But if you want to check out what I was going to play in the background, I was going to have a wonderful thing called Golden Bowls by Carmen Moffat. If you know that, or if you want to check that out, make sure you've either got headphones in or that you play it through some good speakers, because there's some sounds in there. It's quite incredible. It's just Tibetan bowls being played, but it's just absolutely gorgeous. We actually used it for a friend's funeral about a year ago. I used to know it from the past, and then I was kind of reintroduced to it. Anyway, that's not what I was going to talk about. How are you? I hope you're really well. So it's been an interesting week in the John Stroke Authentic Living camp, as it were. I've kind of taken a hiatus from the radio show that I was doing on Saturday evenings because I had a health lapse. Some of you will remember, if you've been with me, for a while, that I had real health problems in 2014, and there was kind of like a resurgence of that, but with some extra stuff, real bad anxiety attacks and things like that. So my Ayurvedic doctor in India has kindly stepped in, because I wasn't getting anywhere with the Western way of doing things. As much as I love it, it wasn't working in the healing way. More suppression than anything else, and then wasn't even managing that really. So I'm okay though, but I'm having to do things much more quietly. But three things I just wanted to kind of share with you, kind of a bit practical, So my last video, which I was ill actually at that time, but I just didn't say anything out loud in my classes and stuff like that. So it was a real struggle. So I'd signed the contract with Watkins Books for a new book, which I can't tell you much about. And in the first 2 weeks, I wrote the first chapter, and then I did that thing. It's not my first book, so don't worry. I did that thing of having written the first chapter, I put the entire thing in the bin. And a fly wants to say hello and join in as well with the video. I put the whole thing in the bin. Very often what we do as when we're trying to write something, whether it's just for ourselves or we have a publisher, is we try and take that first thing and then we try and make it work because we have an egoic attachment to it. So this will be my 7th book coming out probably, but it's actually, I've written other books. There's 4 or 5 that I've never let out in the world at all. In the drawers, and one actually might see the light of day, a collection of poetry through a press that I've worked with before, so we're talking about that. And yes, fly, it just suddenly, now that we're talking, it's like, hey, I want to be in the video. But the thing about early drafts of things is, we should do a meditation and writing retreat. Would you like that? Should we do an online meditation and writing retreat like early September or late September or something? That'd be really good, wouldn't it? Maybe we could have that alternating with the other retreats that I do. Let me know if you'd like that. Could be poetry, could be just general writing, could be journaling based. You tell me. The first chapter, not the first chapter, when you first draft of something, the way that you've written it isn't that precious in a way, but it really does tell you what it is that you want to write, even by its absence, if you see what I mean. So I always do my first draft just to find out what it is I want to say, even though I've got this 30-page book plan of what the book's going to be. I also needed to kind of run through it one time, to the length of about 7,000 words, and then kind of go, yeah, no, as it were, and so I have now completed my chapter 1, and chapter 2 is kind of not well on the way, but getting going, really. So I'm kind of on track nicely for delivering the book in August next year to the publisher, and then it has to be sort of copy edited and marketing and all that sort of thing. So we're still on track, very certainly, for hopefully December 2021. And it will be in the bookshops. And don't worry, I shall be popping up and letting you know, as it were. But some of you might just find that useful, those of you who write, that the first draft is always to tell you what it is that you want to write. I always call it draft 0, not draft 1, you see. That helps a lot. And of course, it's not right, even the finished chapter. It's good. I know it's good because it has this integrity to it. It's not my ego saying that. It actually has everything in that I want it to. It speaks in the voice that I want it to speak with, which is direct and honest and funny and where possible, because we should always take this stuff as lightly as possible because it's so serious. And then it will, of course, once my editor kind of gets a look at it, she'll be like, you've repeated yourself here. You could have said it like this, could you just explain this a little bit more? So, you've got to just kind of not worry about that. In fact, I enjoy it. I enjoy it to the max, actually, because I always worry about people who write these books on their own kind of thing. It's my genius and what have you, and then, well, I'm not going to publish, I'm going to self-publish it and put it out in the world because then no one can affect my vision. But that's not kind of really joining in with the world. I know how strange that world looks, from outside it. But I've never met anybody real. No, I've never met anybody who's real in that world who wants to keep you out. What they want is a book that will sell, you see. I've met a lot of people in that world who aren't real. A lot of people have, there's a lot of kind of garbage in that world. But you don't worry about that. If your soul is straight and clear and you're doing the work and you're meditating and you're living from your soul, then the people that you need to find will find you and you'll find them. It is actually, God's work in a way. You just kind of do the work that you're asked to do lovingly and it finds its way. But I think we attach too much to it and then we get this other stuff, really, which is why you have all that kind of weird stuff in spirituality, people speaking with funny voices, spiritual voices and all that sort of thing, sticking Indian bits on the ends of their names and wacky things so that they can appear to be, more. I just, I'm bread and butter or meat and potatoes or, well, actually dal and rice because I'm vegetarian, but you know what I'm saying. Dal and rice, khichdi, ghee, that's my way. So here we are. You might hear the siren. You're in downtown Hebden Bridge, population 4,500, and yet always sirens, always a gummed up road. Two other things I want to tell you about quickly rather than hammering on here. 11th of July, 8 p.m. UK time. I guess that's 3 p.m. Eastern, noon. I want to say Western time, but Pacific, and you can do the in-betweens if you're in Idaho and all that sort of thing. I know a lot of you are in the US. If you're in India, it's a wee bit late. It's to midnight 30 the next day. But I know there's a lot of you in India now as well. And Australia, where will you be? Because there's quite a few of you in Australia, aren't there? 7 p.m. Oh, there you go. You're all right. 11 hours. Is it 11 hours? 13 hours? It's either 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock. I can't do it. I can't do all that time zones at once in my head thing. So we have the open space, which I've started as a monthly thing. It's free. Donation would be nice, just to support the work if you felt that way inclined. But really, it's just so that anybody can come in. And it's an hour-long, almost silent sit, a little bit of guidance, but not a taught thing from me. A little bit of kind of beautiful text drop in instead of ringing a bell. And the idea is to sit with each other in silence, in presence, to rest in that space with each other. And the reason that I wanted to do that is because if we come with our backgrounds at our front, as it were, I vote this way, I have this kind of intelligence, I have this kind of money, I, have this kind of family life. This is my status. This is who I am. This is my job. If we meet in that way, we only ever end up in agreement or disagreement. And it's a terrible place to meet, quite honestly, because we're so much better than that, quite honestly. And even just like a millimetre below the surface of that, there's our beautiful souls. There's our beautiful hearts. And the real access point to that is actually just silence, just trusting that moment of life that you're in right now. And then, so you don't meditate for an hour, you meditate for that one moment of silence, and you let it last for an hour. That's all. You just do that for an hour. It's like going to the gym. You don't do 10 as quickly as possible. I've never seen anybody get fit that way. I've seen people get injured that way. But you do one rep properly 10 times, and amazingly, fitness comes way quicker. I just wish gyms would open. I wish they were allowed to open instead of, well, we have had the bars opening in the UK. So again, country town. So I'm well aware of the sounds and things right there. God bless everybody, of course. I just wish I could have my gym open rather than kind of having access to beer I don't drink. And then on the 19th of July, we have a half-day retreat called Loving Awareness. And that's from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. UK time, which I'll let you do the Eastern Pacific India time. But I've picked that time so that it kind of lines up with most time zones of being a kind of doable thing. I know it's really out for Australia and New Zealand, I do know that. We have actually had people from Australia join us and just kind of, stay up very late in order to do it, or have a sleep in the afternoon and then kind of join the retreat. So that's good. And this one, last time we were looking at object consciousness or false consciousness in a very direct way, and it was a lot of information actually, which I didn't intend to run it that way. It just became a bit information heavy. So this one, I want to kind of soften it up a little bit, and I want to look at loving awareness in two ways. So we've got Donna joining us doing yoga with us again. We have a number of sits. We have a journaling session built into the little retreat, and we're also going to have a little kind of talk and journaling and discussing time, questions and answers around loving awareness in terms of us loving our awareness and the awareness of awareness being a state of feeling love, as it were, because that's true. So it works two ways at the same time, if you see what I mean. So I want to kind of really explore that. I know we can only do so much in 4 hours, but given that this new modality of being able to be together around the world, I won't say new normal because it's not true. There is no new normal. There's now, and how we're meeting each other now, But that doesn't have to go on forever. The next minute is a different minute altogether. Nothing is set. We all think everything is fixed and set, the new normal, the set thing, the this, the that. Nonsense, all of it. It's just a flowing, really, and what we can do lovingly within that time, within that moment. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in the open space, details are on authenticliving.life, as you know. So look under teachings, and you'll see the open space and the Loving Awareness retreat on there with all the info. So that's it. I'm going to love you and leave you. I wanted this to be a 6-minute video. It's 14 minutes. What am I like? Never, ever, 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 I wrote something down. I wasn't going to share this with you at all. I actually have my diary in front of me. I was doing my journal. And I wrote something down yesterday. I might read you this. This is entirely to myself, so it's really personal, okay? As the world goes back to its madness, be the opposite. Be the love and sanity. Be yoga. Be meditation. Be juice. Be exercise. Be reality. Be silent. Be presence. Be frugal. Be wealthy. Be debt-free. Be artistic. Be creative. Be the adventure of your own sweet life. This is what I write to myself in my journal. I realized recently that we often try to do meditation and do yoga, whereas actually if we were to be yoga, just think about how that feels in your body. If we were to be meditation, And we wouldn't need to broadcast anything or anything, would we? Really, we just even if we're just an absolute first timer, you know, or very early in our practice, if we just be yoga, which means the union of the two parts of ourselves, you know, the spiritual, the sacred, and the form, and they're the same thing, of course, the union, and expressed through that. All right, I was just playing guitar upstairs. I might tag a little bit of that on the end, and I've got my friend Lauren coming for a cup of coffee, which is great. I'm looking forward to seeing her, and yeah. Lots of love to you, and I'm looking. I actually have gardening materials just sitting there that I need to get to my allotment, and it's been raining so much that I'm thinking, I wonder if it'll stay off long enough to get to the allotment this afternoon. So it's all real life stuff, you know. Lots of love to you. Take great care. I hope to see you either on the open space or the Loving Awareness Retreat. Do let me know if you'd like some writing and meditation put together. I think that sounds like a really good idea. And I've got another friend, Natalie, and I haven't even spoken to her yet about this, but she's a, do you say it's Shinrin Yoku practitioner, and she and I are kind of looking to do something together now that we can all come out of it. So maybe next video I'll let you know a bit about that, because we promised we'll have a chat soon. So Natalie, if you're watching this, lots of love to you, and I promise let's be in touch soon. Take care.